Three, two, one.
Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Salt and Sorcery. It is I, your host, Leona Grimmy, here with my beautiful and lovely, bodacious and courageous co-host, Grimmy. Say hello, Grimmy. Yes, Grimmy. Ah, Grimmy. Yes, it is also very nice to meet you. Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm still alive. I'm still king. They have not gotten to me yet. So I am here. I'm happy. I'm excited. There has been a lot of updates. A lot of things have been happening recently. A lot of things. As I'm sure you guys have seen and have been exposed to in, I don't even know what the proper word is, in excess, honestly, but not with kindness. Honestly, that's our thing. That's our thing. But how are you? I'm so happy you guys are here. So happy to be here with all of you. It has been perhaps a month since we had sort of an in-person kind of thing. There's been lots of things going on, honestly. You know what they are. But recently, my sister had recently given birth to her first child. I am an uncle. I know. We'll see how that goes. I love her. She's a very precious thing. Very, very, very small. Very cute. You know. She was trying to win me over with her looks, and I was like, I'm not having it. I'm stronger than that. But no, she's very adorable, and I'm very happy she's in our lives, of course. Wait till she meets me. you know, when she understands what I am, who I am, it's going to be a wild ride for sure. So buckle up. Um, but no, there's been a lot of things going on. I'm still, keeping up with current, things like that. And there's a lot of things that happen from, December through January. And we're in February right now. And there's a lot of things that are still happening. But you know what? I was like, you know what? You guys already know that shit. You're sort of exposed to that on the daily already. If you want any sort of advice that I can offer you right now, is to simply listen, to talk, and to talk less. Gather your information if you're having these special interactions. Gather what information you can, sort of digest it in your mind, use logic, problem solving skills to sort of come to a sort of conclusion, listen to what people have to say, even if you hate it. And then, remember what it is that they said, and then do your information based on what they said to you, even things that they don't like. Also, you have the freedom to not listen or to associate with these people if they are strangers. If there's someone that's a bit closer, then you have to, sort of play your cards wisely. I have been working recently as well with the god Hermes, or Mercury, for others that know him by. And he is a god of many tongues, a god of diplomacy, of interactions, of borders as well. He's also a god of, of opportunity, wealth, and magic, believe it or not, according to his, epithets and everything else like that. So I've been sort of working with Hermes. I haven't been keeping up with him as much because, my life's a bit busy. But the few times I have, he's definitely, showed his hand, and I'm very appreciative to him and very grateful as well. I've come up with a song for the great Hermes, and as well as a small poem of prayer, things like that. And, you do your offerings, frankincense and myrrh, I think what he tends to like a bit more, if you're curious. But, if you wanted to do something like that, if you want an opportunity for jobs or anything else like that, send something his way. Give a kind gesture, a little offering of incense or things like that. And, be meaningful when you're saying these sort of words or when you sort of want to have this interaction. So, like I said, I don't want to get too much into the broad spectrum of things that are very boring and very heated up. So I want to have something a little bit more, fun we can get back to. As you have probably noticed, I have my analysis glasses. And yes, we are in fact going to have another analysis into our friend here, Melinda. We're back. All right, so let us get this thing started, shall we? Now, it's probably going to go over some things I've probably heard of before. Hold on. I should probably have my headphones in that I probably don't. But that is completely fine. Shit, I feel so ill prepared. I'm so. Wait, I have that. Hold on. This is a quick thing here. I'll be putting on these, at least one. I have to be able to hear myself. God forbid I'm silent, doing these things. However, working with Hermes has taught me to, sometimes having a still tongue can make a conversation go a lot faster. Trust me. Because still water runs deep, let me tell you. All right, before we get started, let me show my setup is correct here. Let me see. Oh, and speaking of opportunities, I recently have gotten an interview. As of today, someone wants to set up an interview with me as I was looking for, new job opportunities. So, thank you, Hermes. Honestly, it's been quite a rush these last couple weeks, and everything going on. So, we're doing the best we can. So I believe I am connected, and so we're going to go into this thing. So let us see here what Melissa has to say. Now you may have seen this front part a bit already, but let's just go through it. So, all right, getting this set up, and we are going in 3, 2, 3, 2, 1, and we are go.
Whatever. Some of it's true, but a lot of it's not. But some of it is. It depends. Shiva had explained that these hellhounds were basically, or one in particular, was based on this one person who was tortured and sent to hell. Hecate decided to transform her into a dog and bring her back to Earth or wherever she was at to get her out of hell. There's other stories, backstories about it, but I really don't give a shit about those backstories. If you try to correct me, cool, good for you, but I really don't care. When you get lost on those stories, you lose the sight of the truth.
Oh my god. Really? I don't care about the backstories, the legends of Hecate. I don't care about any of that shit. Now she's saying, if you listen to those backstories, they sort of divert from the truth. I'm like, how do you know anything of the gods you're working with, Melinda? I'm sorry, that kind of triggered me. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. And oh my goodness. But you know what? Let us continue. I'm pressing play
lose
now.
the sight of the facts based on these deities and their overall agendas and their narratives and their motivations. And what I couldn't help but notice when I was interacting with Hecate was encountering her presence, but also looking at her attire. It was fucking weird. She is cloaked and very gray, dark colors. She almost looked like a person who's constantly in mourning, like in a funeral. There was some part of me where I wanted to see the beauty in her, but it was very difficult to do so. But then there was also moments where she would show me her truest beauty, and she was fantastically beautiful. But there was still this energy that made me feel so small. Now, people will say automatically, especially with people in the
stopping it here. The energy she makes you feel small is she's humbling you. I mean, she can clearly, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm not sorry. I know who she voted for.
spiritual community, they'll say something like, oh, that's just you mirroring yourself and that's how you feel towards her. Trust me, I thought about that. That was the first thing that I was trying to address. But then at some point, I started having horrendous visions, horrible visions of things that she had done to people, of things that she had done to spirits, things that she had committed. Now, not everything, but quite a few things that I didn't know what I was seeing, but it was almost like permeating evil energy that I could feel. And it was like memory flashes in my mind that weren't my memories. The only time that happens is when I'm in the presence of a demon or a devil or
The only time that happens is if I'm in the presence of a demon or a devil. God forbid you look in the mirror,
type
Melinda.
of low vibrational spirit that feeds off of people and their suffering, or off of spirits and their suffering. This was a huge red flag to me. I can't express how much of a red flag. Like, I felt it in my heart. And so I spoke to Shiva about this, and I said, I don't know what.
Shiva, I don't trust Shiva. Shiva, just look at him. Just in the picture she gives, he has blue skin. I don't trust blue skin people. They're always liars. You can't trust the deities from overseas because they haven't been vetted through the proper channels. I'm sorry, but you can't trust Shiva. Why? Because he's a god, Like, gods aren't trustworthy by definition. If they wanted you to trust them, they would show themselves more people. I don't trust them. I can be just as insufferable as someone with these sort of opinions. She doesn't look, there's deities that can be nice, but then they can flip a switch on you. Like I've said previously in the past video, You don't really know these individuals. You don't really know these sort of spirits until they reveal themselves to you. And sometimes these spirits do. And I haven't had the experience that Melinda has. I haven't really worked too much with Hecate in that man. I'm not a psychic at all. But it's quite interesting to see the sort of comments that I'm getting, the sort of vitriol against deities that are sort of like Hecate. And these things, believe it or not, do translate to the real world. Usually, depending on how someone is or how someone looks like or dresses, and the reactions you have to those certain deities absolutely can translate to the actual individuals that are there. But it is quite fascinating how she doesn't really see the hypocrisy in it. So she refuses to do any sort of proper research on Hecate. She doesn't want to listen to the tales of the stories surrounding that goddess that could perhaps, sway her away from her, inherent bias against this goddess simply for the fact of her affiliations. And so, but she's believing fully into these, Eastern gods and these Eastern traditions. There's clearly, you guys know what it is. Let's just keep watching here.
It is, but there's something about her that doesn't make sense to me. And then he said, you came from Christianity in the beginning. I said, yeah. He said, there is some truth to it. Do you remember what it was? I was like, well, I'm not sure where you're going with this, but what? He said, test her. If there's something about her that you feel doesn't sit right with you in how you feel, test her. Don't feel bad about it. Test her. And so I took.
And I agree. You should absolutely test her because you know what? There could be a number of spirits that could be trying to disguise themselves as gods because what they seek is your worship, your adulation, your offerings, and your spiritual energy. That's absolutely right. I agree with this. You should absolutely test the spirits. But, has she tested the spirit she's been with, Who knows? I don't believe her, but who knows? I could be wrong.
That advice, and when I went to her, I brought up something because I couldn't help but notice about her keys. She was draped in these keys, and she loves keys. And I thought, one, that's weird. Why are you collecting a bunch of keys? But then I started asking her questions, and she started getting really kind of pissed off about it. I did ask her about her moral compass. And I asked her specifically, do you believe in cursing people? And she said, well, yes, when they deserve it. And I said,
wow, okay, I pause at 6:39 right now. Honestly, the audacity. But you know what? It's fair. You should ask them, well, so where are you on this sort of thing? You know what? Let me keep watching to see what sort of thing. She recently asked Hecate, where's your moral compass? Do you believe in cursing people or whatever? Hecate's like, absolutely, if they deserve it. Absolutely. It's called punishment for your crimes. If you do something bad, you should absolutely be punished for it. If you deserve it. How could anyone disagree with that?
Who gives you the judgment to decide that? And she said, I'm always the judge of that. She said something along those lines. She said other things better than how I'm saying it here, that's for sure. But, and I'm also seeing in my head, I'm hearing in my head, I'm being heavily protected because she's going to be super pissed off about this video. She's very, very mad about it already. When I encountered her.
Wow, heavily protected, 742. Wow, heavily protected. Okay, Melinda. I mean, sure, I suppose. You're assuming she cares that much about it. You're assuming she cares anything about you because she's so pissed you're talking shit about her. Like, people hasn't talked shit about her for years. Hello, Christianity, the last 1,000 years. They've always talked shit about Hecate, as well as other gods, believe it or not. I mean, a god could perhaps show you this favor, of course, But I mean, heavily protected. God, that is such Christ speak. I've only ever really heard that from people that, associate within those circles, at least from that. I've heard so many Christians say that. No offense to the ones here. You're very cool. You're very open and honest, and I appreciate that. She, on the other hand, I don't know. Unpausing.
I couldn't help but notice that she seemed to always have some kind of an egotistical answer, something of that seemed kind of like entitled. Like she felt like this is what I think should happen, and that's why I do it. And I believe everyone has their own judgments And I also believe everyone's entitled to their own experiences and feelings in their own justifications of what they feel. I do not believe in causing harm to another just because you think they deserve it. There's a time and place for those kinds of situations. Like if someone came into your home and broke into your home and they started attacking your family, I do believe you have the right at that point to attack them back to protect your family. I believe that. That's not what a curse is. A curse, to some people, they think is justification. But the truth is, more than half the time, people identify revenge with karma. They're so blended together, people can't identify the difference. They get blurred, and people can't see it. They can't identify the difference anymore, especially in magic. I told her, I said, karma does come back, and I do believe in karmic spells to enhance the karma to come. But there's a difference between karma and a curse. A karma spell, for example, is when a person does a spell to make an equal equivalence to occur that would justify the exact repercussions of what that person did to you. In other words, you don't decide what that karma is going to be. You allow the universe to choose that. And it does work. I've done it.
That, pause. I'm pausing at 10:15. She recently did her spiel about karma and how it does work. No. How she's doing it, it is absolutely false. She's trying to talk about the differences between cursing someone versus and revenge versus asking for karma to, put itself. The problem that I have with karma is that karma is not applicable in every situation. It is simply a belief that stems from the Eastern traditions. The reason why you know karma is because there have been countless examples and times when people that have committed mass atrocities get off scot-free. When they have, either raped someone, they are fine, they don't go to jail, and they live out the rest of their lives, and then they die. And then people try to use the fact that, well, they did something really bad, so if karma's just, they go to the bad place, and then they suffer for it. But yet the people that are alive currently, that haven't died yet, are still suffering under the influence of the absence of that karma. It hasn't really enacted itself out yet. So if someone for example, is doing horrible things, isn't doing anything good at all, and you don't really see justice being done, what other recourse do you have if not violence or slinging curses? You absolutely curse. The God of the Bible did many curses, as did his prophets. And other gods and deities have also cursed mortals as well for things that they have done. And then there are some that have cursed mortals for things that they didn't even do, that I thought was really wrong to do, But the problem is that people have this idea that karma is like this universal thing that should be observed and should be applied in every situation. However, I find that karma can be rather slow. And I think the advantage to using something like witchcraft or petitioning deities on your behalf is because sometimes these deities have so many things going on, they can't just, stop whatever they're doing to simply, tackle your situations. And some of these deities also understand that you as a person have power, you have influence to enact out your own sense of justice. And we have done it since time immemorial. We did it in France with Queen Antoinette. Let them eat cake. Better yet, let them have your head, bitch. And that's exactly what happened, The North Seas, we did that too. So there's so many issues and problems that come with talking about things like karma. I'm like, no, you absolutely have the power to enact your own sense of justice. If the gods themselves aren't going to do it, and if karma is too slow or absent, and perhaps still and silent to your cries, you take it upon yourself. The universe is then giving you the authorization to act in its place because, you're here. Also, what she derives from karma is an interpretation of how the universe works. It's not a set in stone thing, so it may in fact be bullshit, but I don't know, we'll see where it goes. All right, unpausing 13.
It's very powerful. And some people would say, well, that's not any different from a curse. Yes, it is. Because a curse is where a person is choosing the repercussions of what they think is justifiable. When more than half the time, their personal anger and their ideology becomes clouded with revenge. And more than half the time, that's where karma comes back to bite them in the ass for giving them unjustified curses for something as simple as they just don't like them. I've seen it. I've seen people do horrible curses to people over something so minuscule.
13:37. It's true. I agree with her on that point. When you feel the need to curse someone gravely upon a very slight insult or offense, I think it's a bit, not right. But then again, at the same time, If karma is in fact a real thing, then the person that applied that curse would also receive the evils of the curse that they did, whatever, from karma. But it's simply not true. I'm sorry. I've lived a long time, seen a lot of things, and I just don't see the reasoning behind it. Um, you know, I think, and some people disagree with me. I think the punishment should definitely fit the crime, definitely. And as what we have seen in our past history within this country and anywhere else, we have not really seen that either when it comes to things like past crimes, people paying for them. Things like criminals or anything like that, rapists or anything else. So there's a lot of times when, sometimes someone like, even like, smoking something on the side of the street, if it's super illegal, they throw you in jail for decades just because you were using a drug. You weren't hurting anyone else. You were just taking a drug and they lock you up for years. I don't believe that's correct. And I don't think that's right. But, you can absolutely curse the person that put them in that sort of situation. They, lock them up for so many years. And I think she has a point when it comes to sort of us reanalyzing and properly dissecting the level of, the degree to which this person had committed a crime, and then the level of punishment to, be put upon that crime, that slight. It is important, but however, if the gods are out there, if someone's divinely protected, it shouldn't matter, would it? Because they could just say, well, this is a bit wrong, we're going to get rid of that. But, I don't know. I'm not a god yet. So we'll see how this goes. 15.
It was stupid. And it's not right. And I don't think we should abuse our magic, our energy frequency in that way. I think it's irresponsible. I think it's ungodly. And what I mean by godly is you have a choice to be what kind of entity you want to be when you die. You have a choice of who you want to be in existence in totality. And how you behave towards others is the repercussions and also the energy frequency. That print will be there for everyone else to see of who you are. And if you allow that negative energy to consume you and to take over your decisions, you're no better than demons. You're no better than the devils. And you're no better than Satanists who work in black magic and demonolators who work with.
Wow. She's really showing her colors. Oh, by the way, that was paused at 16:20, a bit before that. Wow, she's really showing herself. She's saying, if you do these bad things, you know better than Satanists or devil worshippers or anything else, people that use black magic or whatever. I'm like, well, she's saying, do your own research, ladies and gentlemen. She's pretty much speaking about it herself, because she's so read up on these things. But I guarantee you she hasn't really done enough research into it anyway. She has admitted she hasn't done much research into Hecate at all, but they're all the same. She's painting it with a broad brush. Generalization. I mean, you know better. If you're a piece of shit and you die a piece of shit, you know better than demons or anyone else, But, in a certain way, I agree with her viewpoint. Usually I think a person or a spirit, because we are spirits, that are sort of a certain way the entire life unto death will simply remain the same way, throughout their afterlife and will remain the same. But other spirits can take advantage of that, and you can also be, punished even afterwards, perhaps by something that didn't like you. But believe it or not, despite the name, things like demons or the spirits of that kind, they do have a darkness about them. And perhaps it could be some underlying, maleficia. But they do have a sort of balance. They tend to be creatures of their word, and they tend to, work in their own ways. But they can absolutely enact justice if, the people that are on the right side of justice didn't do. They have no problems doing that because they're like, well, we don't have the bounds of this sort of moral walls you sort of built up for us. So we're going to act on our own accord, and we believe that this is the right and just thing to do. So, yes, it's interesting. But let us unpause and continue. 1802.
Demons and devils. And the more disappointing part is when I asked Hecate about those keys, she made it very, very apparent to me. And this is where a lot of people don't know this, but the keys are symbolic. And whether people want to accept this or not, she's gatekeeping the truth and the knowledge of magic. Why do you think a lot of witches feel like they can only go to her and they can't work with anyone else besides her? She even informed me of that at one point. She was like, you can't work with anyone else besides me because I want you to hear me. I want you to focus on me. And I was like, God damn, chill. That's a...
Wow, okay. 1844. Interesting. Well, I will say this. Well, first of all, do I believe her? I don't believe anything she says. She hasn't done her research into anything, so I'm not going to give her any sort of, it's all anecdotal. She could be, thinking of things, misremembering things or whatever. It could have been something else that says it was Hecate. I don't know. I don't really trust her discernment. But, you know, when someone's a master of something or a teacher, which Hecate is, the wisest thing when you have students of people that are coming into your craft is to absolutely gatekeep information. There are information, there are secrets, there are powers that be in play that you are either allowed to know or not allowed to know for perhaps your own protection and for the protection of others. For example, if Hecate is guarding, curses, for example, that can kill someone instantly, or that perhaps, spells that can, wreak havoc across the land and shit, she wouldn't necessarily want you to have access to that kind of power because she knows you'll be irresponsible about it. Gods have a huge responsibility, and they are beings that have been around for such a long time. And there are other gods that perhaps can act in opposition to those gods, and that are also perhaps keeping those gods at bay. And sometimes the last thing you want is to have another god interfering in your affairs. You don't want that, so you behave, you sort of learn how to sort of keep things a bit more hush-hush. And the reason why a lot of people go to Hecate is because Hecate has been recorded through time as being a goddess and a mother of the witches, the people that practice magic. She is a being that incorporates and that encompasses all that there is to know about magic. But she's not the only one, but she's the one that is mostly known. Like I previously mentioned, Hermes is also a god known for magic. There's also things like Thoth, and there's other, gods as well. You have like Freya, or you have, other types of gods or goddesses that are, well versed in things like magic or things like the craft. But Hecate, and goddesses like Circe. But Hecate, for example, is one that has been, she's been seen and heard through, through time, through countless cultures and interactions. And people that revered her magic and everything else like that, would record things in books. They would put things on walls. Her reputation precedes her. That is why so many people sort of go to Hecate, because it is who they know is portrayed as this beacon of magic, this mother, this master, this maiden, this crone, as some people pronounce. So there's a reason why people go to her for magic. And if perhaps she did say these things, it's probably perhaps that, she probably encompasses the abilities that, all these other goddesses have that perhaps aren't available in your current thing. Or perhaps it is within her right saying, look, maybe she is perhaps the gatekeeper of all magic. And she's saying, you can only really go through me. But Hecate has different iterations. She has different names and epithets. She's a liminal goddess, so she can also transform and everything else. So, is there truth to what she is saying? Some degree, not all of it. God forbid I give her any sort of benefit of the doubt or any sort of credit, but that is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Let us continue. 2157.
Little extreme. And she was like that. And that right then and there, I was like, you're already going to lose me. Because that's not how it works for me. You either allow me to work with you and I work with my other guides at the same time, or we don't work together at all. That don't work with me. And a lot of people are afraid of her. I'm not. And I told her that straight up. And I know that sounds so stupid. Like some people are going to be like, whatever, Melinda, you can think that all you want. And this is not me bragging. This is not me making it out to be something that I'm not. I'm just saying, when I choose to work with a deity, it's because of the vibration of feeling like there's no pressure and there's no judgment. And more importantly, there's no control over how I learn. That is a big
2243. And Melinda, you know what? I agree with you. You should absolutely be in your sovereignty, However, if you're trying to seek someone out as a patron to work with, sometimes the people that you work with have certain stipulations. Like, well, you can work with me, but I would prefer if you don't work with these other people because I don't like them. And you're well within your right to refuse, and you did, and you didn't work with her. She didn't force you to work with her. She simply told you, look, this is how I operate, according to Melinda's testimony. And whether you like it or not, this is what it is, But however, what I will say is that I'm less inclined to believe her because I know people personally that are Hecatean practitioners that also work with other deities. And they say Hecate is not the possessive type. So it's like, and why would she be? If she's about you seeking knowledge and power, she understands that there are many routes and paths to power. She is the goddess of the crossroads. She knows how many paths there are. She knows what it's like. And she wants you to get to your destination. If you ask her you want to get somewhere, she'll tell you where to go. And if that involves you working with other deities and gods and things like that, comparing notes or whatever, you can go back to her, and that is fine. A good teacher is one that allows their students to broaden their horizons and to seek answers from other sources, from multiple sources, not just them. That's absolutely what Hecate does for the people that I personally know. And so for her to say something like, this person that you all think you know, but you don't, she's a demon, she's a bitch. She only wants you to work with her. And this is all according to what she says, because it's all anecdotal, which you can't really put any trust in. It's honestly, I don't even know what to say, really. But you know what? It is what it is. And this is where we are now. Anyways, unpausing 24,
Big
26.
red flag to me. That's a really big red flag for me. When you work with a deity who controls what you do, how you do it, tells you what to do, run the other way. That is not the right way to learn. I have learned from so many of these deities, and they have given me the freedom to be able to express myself in such a way where it is not like a lesson. It's not like a course. I see people all the time saying, oh, I had to read all these books, and I had to do all of this, and I had to do all of that. That is not what true magic, to me anyway, is all about. Now, if it
All right, 2506. I'm glad she prefaced it. That's not magic to me, But Melinda, what I will say is that it is important for one to, I'm not talking to her at all. What I'm saying is that it's important for us to learn, to broaden our horizons. What I'm getting is that she just sort of wants to work with these deities in name and do nothing else for it. She's like, I'm all about the vibes. I'm about the vibrations, the relationships. That's what she's looking for is relationships. She's not looking for a teacher. That's not what she's looking for. She's looking for relationships. And that's fine, and that is absolutely allowed. However, Hecate is one that people who go to her for knowledge. They go to her for power. She can have a relationship with you if that's what you want to seek, and she can absolutely give that to you. She's also a goddess of childbirth and rearing, of motherhood. She knows what it's like to work with children. She knows what it's like to work with people. But, to put all your eggs out of this basket, I'm just kind of like, this is where we are, This is how I do things. I don't believe in reading books to know more knowledge, to be more knowledgeable, to, potentially, root out any sort of bullshit. That's the problem. When you're uneducated, you believe the bullshit. And you're more enticed to because it sounds nice to you. She was in, I'm not going to go into that. It's going to cause some problems. Let's just keep watching.
works for you, cool. Don't get me wrong. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of research. But at the same time, it's supposed to be about escaping the realms of limitation and embracing that limitless, bountiful affirmation of goodness and energy and being whatever you want to be in these realms, and also escaping those boundaries and breaking them open to flourish in your life here on the physical plane to such a degree that you could never imagine. People think it's impossible. I don't. I'm a testimony here. I'm alive because of it. I'm alive because these deities help me to live my life into a better way and to love myself and to be a better part of who I am and to learn how to do that for other people as well. I'm not
27:12. I agree with her on this point. I absolutely think that you should be living your life to the fullest and in freedom, but not to the point where you're sort of taking away the freedom and the experiences of others. Sort of living your life the proper way, letting people live the way they want to live, but also, being there for, others that you care about, the others that you feel worthy of having your energy. And I agree, though. We shouldn't really, we shouldn't really limit ourselves in our understandings. And we also shouldn't limit ourselves in terms of power. If there's power, we should absolutely seek it out. But you also need to have some discernment as to whether or not that power is what you need or if it's affecting you in any sort of way. And you can also be a witch without the need or interference of gods at all. You can be a secular practitioner. And those absolutely exist. I've met some personally. And they work their crafts and they utilize the energies and the powers that are already present within our modern and physical world. That is secular witchcraft. Is learning how to use what's ever around without the need or interferences of spirits or gods of any kind. And you can absolutely do that because energy dwells within nearly everything on this planet. And learning how to utilize those energies and manifest it to your benefit or to the benefits of others is absolutely what magic is about. So you can absolutely do that. I agree with her on that point. Let's see, unpausing 28:35.
Perfect. I make mistakes all the time, but that is one of the most important lessons and wisdoms I've learned is to allow people to be who they are and to not tell them what they can and cannot do. You give them advice when they need it or ask, but you don't push yourself on people. You let them come to you. And I just rhymes. I know it's divine. If you
Oh my god, 28:59. I paused a bit earlier. That made me vomit. The last part, it's divine, and I'm fucking awesome. I'm a blonde white bitch. I'm in my shit, and I'm a witch allegedly. I do so many things. I work with so many spirits. I'm a polytheistic. I work with all spirits. They are in my room constantly. I get reamed every fucking day. It's awesome. It's amazing. You know what? I agree that sometimes it's good to help people when they ask for it or to give them information. However, if someone if someone cares for you and sees you're doing something wrong that could potentially lead to disaster, they stop you immediately and then they offer counsel. A friend doesn't wait for you to shoot yourself in the head and then ask for help later. That doesn't happen. That's not a true friend. It's stupid. It's idiotic. Oh, let me adjust my hat a little bit. Yes, I love that. It's dumb, to say that. A friend, someone that's looking out for you, a teacher, will stop you before you go too far. They will stop you when you're doing something wrong. And it's good to know that. And the reason why is because your mind then absorbs that information in that moment, knowing that this is a problem, I need to correct, I need to rectify it. Some people never ask for help, and they live worse lives because of it. Some people have so much pride, they dare not ask for help. And there are some people that don't know how to ask for help. And so they need someone to go in there and offer them assistance. Those of us that worked in retail know this. You look for the signs and you go in there in case someone's having trouble, because sometimes it's hard for others to ask. Some are embarrassed to ask. And so some gods or spirits take it upon themselves to offer some assistance even when not asked for. Okay, let us unpause.
you choose to work with Hecate, cool. Good for you, but that's not for me, babe. That's not for me. I don't feel like working with a deity just because everyone says you should is the right path. Just because it works for you doesn't mean it works for everyone else. And just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it won't work for you. But I make this video for my fans and for my viewers and also for other people who are looking for information and red flags on Hecate. And I say this with full love and also full warning. Be prepared. She's fucking bossy. And I'm not about that. And also keep in mind, just because they're ancient, just because they are wise, does not give them the right to tell you what to do. If you want to learn something from a deity, they will teach you. Benevolent deities, even Shiva, he'll teach you all kinds of stuff about magic. Ganesha is very good at magic. They're excellent at magic, but they don't work in the realms of demons or devils or hell. And they don't.
Wow, 31:45. I paused it a bit before then. Damn, she's showing herself, I mean, she assumes they're all the same. She's saying, I'm not telling you what to do. Be free to do what you do, but don't work with these people. Okay, this is what it is. Like attracts like, Melinda. Sometimes, yeah, that's just that. She's a bossy bitch. Don't work with her. But I'm like, that's how masters and teachers are. They tell you things how they're supposed to be, how it works. However, it is entirely up to Melinda. She has the freedom to suck whoever dick she wants to suck. If it's Ganesh, if it's Buddha, if it's whoever the fuck it is, she has the reason. She has the freedom to do that. I don't like her, but it is what it is. That's where we are. And I'm not being nice. Why should I have the freedom to not be nice? I don't work with Hecate. I don't really work with any sort of dark beings at all, really. Hermes, believe it or not, is actually a deity of light and power. He's affiliated with the sun and with, the higher realms. And I work with Hermes. He also works with the dead, But I mean, I don't know. It's her thing. It disgusts me. But let's continue watching. 32:58.
Gatekeep anything, and they don't certainly tell you what to do and how to learn. They encourage things, they give you what you need when you ask for it in the moment, but they don't force anything on you. And that's what makes them so good. But my last piece of advice is do your own research and listen to your heart. Just because everyone says or person suggests to work with a certain deity and they say this is what we're supposed to do because this is what society or what you're supposed to do in magic. People even talk about Aleister Crowley. Fuck that guy. He's a demonolator. He worked with devils.
Woo, 33, 35. It's been before that. Aleister Crowley, she said, fuck that guy. Don't work with Aleister Crowley. He worked with devils and everything else. Aleister Crowley worked with whoever he was able to get power from. I believe he was one of the things of Wicca. Ooh. No, I'm not a Wicca person. Like I said, you can fuck anyone, but she just said, you can work with who you want to work with, whatever. Don't listen to what she has to say. She's like, use your own research. She doesn't have her own. She doesn't do her own research. Research yourself. I mean, it's like I don't work with Aleister Crowley. I think he was a creep as well. I think half of those white Englishmen from overseas were absolutely. I know a little bit about Aleister Crowley, not entirely. Look, this is my problem. I learn this information, I read it, but because I have so many things in my mind and I read so many things, it gets shifted towards the back and then I can't remember. But you know what? Let us do a little research dive into Aleister Crowley, actually. Just to give it the benefit of the doubt. I won't. But let's just do it anyway. Let us continue. Let me see. Where we are? And 34, 44.
He summoned them. And a lot of people think that in magic, that working with devils and demons is what means embracing your dark side. That's not true. It's so not true. Embracing your dark side is about embracing the things you're not so happy or proud about yourself. And then you learn how to love yourself and be compassionate towards those parts. It's not about being a bad person and doing bad things or working with bad spirits. That's not what embracing the dark side is about. It's about embracing the hardships and the suffering and the lessons and even things about you that you may not like, when you get angry, when you get sad, when you're depressed, all these feelings or whatever they are, or experiences or traumas, those are your dark sides. But that doesn't mean that you should embrace that and also start working with Baphomet. That's not how that shit works. That's what neutrality.
Wow, 33, 30, I'm sorry, 35, 39. She's like, look, you embrace your dark side, whether it doesn't mean working with Baphomet. She has no idea who the fuck Baphomet is. She goes based off of what she sees and what she hears from her light worker friends. Absolutely. Baphomet is a spirit of learning. It's about grounding. It's about, universalist, sort of, maybe not so much universalist, but as above, so below, good or bad, working in tandem. I know people that work with Baphomet as well, and they aren't anything like what Melinda describes, which is very interesting. But she's going based off the iconography. She clearly has religious brainwashing in her mind, and it still pervades in her. Honestly, the Christian variety. None of it. You guys are cool. You guys are fine. Melinda disgusts me. I don't like her. And I'm free to say it, and she can go fuck herself. Honestly, I don't care. What you gonna do, Melinda? You can't curse me, because that honestly goes against your entire argument. You just have to take it up the ass like you do everything else. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. But it's what it is, That's how she sees everything else. If something even looks remotely bad or evil, it absolutely is. Yet, she's fine with working with Shiva or anything else. But it's different because I know the good side of her. And she's not like that. And honestly, Shiva, he works for me. He works with, and it's the dark side of her, which we all have. But it's like, nah. I'm not giving a shit. It's 125.
Is about embracing your dark side is about embracing those embodiments that you're not happy with, acknowledging them and being kind to them about yourself, to yourself about those pieces, and putting them back together. But that doesn't mean that you should start working with an entity who's going to make you feel uncomfortable, because that vibration is what they not only give off, but they're putting inside of you. And the more you're around that energy, the more it becomes a part of you. And I'm not about that. So this is the end of my message. I hope this gives you some clarity and, more importantly, some feedback on my experience with the Kate.
Oh my God, thank God. Okay, 37:47. I'm probably gonna stop it there. I am nauseated. I don't like this bitch. I don't. She's clearly stuck up. She has a stick up her ass. I don't believe any word she says, and neither should you, because I'm telling you what to do. No, it's just, when you hear someone talk, they're not talking shit. She absolutely is. About people and deities and spirits that she doesn't do research on, that she has a general idea about. Don't take them seriously. I wouldn't. You have people in her comments. I've seen it. I know who she voted for. It's ridiculous. She clearly is someone who, I remember the last episode of this, I talked about her, and I was like, she gives off very Christian vibes, but the kind of Christians that are like super stuck up and think everyone should do what they do because they're right, but they don't even read their own scriptures, and they read no other scriptures of anything else to sort of, help them either contradict. she's like that. She's, she's living in her head, you know, and like, living out her ass, speaking out of her ass. I don't take anything what she says seriously. You can't really. She doesn't really give any sort of information or proof of anything. It's all anecdotal. She doesn't do research about Hecate at all. She broadly, generalizes a huge group of people that seem to work with these beings that she doesn't like. I'm like, but you can do that with people in real life. You can work with assholes, but sometimes it's for your benefit. Like if you're working at a job and you hate your manager, but you have to work with your manager in order to get by or whatever, be at this job and get promotions. Look, do what you have to do to survive in life. Do what you have to do to maintain your sovereignty, to maintain your power, and to maintain your legitimacy. Do what you have to do if you don't care about your whole moral standing to survive, because that's all anyone can do and all anyone can even ask for. I am done with the video. I am so happy. You know what? We are sort of done with this. And yes, so thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. Hope all of you are doing grand. I hope all of you sort of enjoy this video. If the quality isn't at best as it can be, it's the same exact one I used last time. I think it looks fine. I think it looks decent. I'm going to be editing this. Hopefully, I can drop it as soon and as quick as possible that you can get all your information. We will be doing, actually, since she mentioned it, I will be doing a video on Aleister Crowley. And I will probably, hopefully, I can get some personal words and put it on here from people that I know personally who can tell me a bit about Aleister Crowley. So that'll be something very fantastic. If I put it in recording, make it a big thing, make it a documentary. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Tell me if you guys agree with it. But without further delay, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here, for being alive, for being present. I know there's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of shit you'd rather not have a lot to deal with. If you don't want to look at any of that shit, look to me. But I also don't want to be one of those practitioners that speak nothing of what's happening in the current world and that are sort of not addressing any certain problems or any sort of issues, because they absolutely are, and I think to talk about it is important. So I will probably do that. I apologize. It's taken a while for me to do a video. Like I said, a lot of things have been happening, but also because I wanted to feel the freedom and the safety of being able to speak here. I haven't necessarily felt like I've had that for the past couple weeks or so. But like I said, we're trudging along just fine. But like I said, be strong and be smart. Learn how to hold your tongue when it matters and when to let loose when you have the power necessary. I encourage all of you to remember to be kind, to rewind, to reassess, and practice in excess kindness. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, goodbye.